Today, I'm real excited to have Ashley Maddox with us, and she's going to be telling her story of what God has done in her life. Ashley and her husband, Justin, have been coming to our church for a long time. Ashley's been here for 9 years. They have a brand new baby girl named Stella, and they're excited to have her in her home. But today, you're going to get to hear a little bit about what God has done in her life, and we are real excited to hear from her. So are you ready to do this?
I think so.
Okay. Tell everybody what you do.
Okay. I am a traffic engineer for ALDOT. So don't send me your complaints about Lurleen Wallace. I'm sorry.
Too late.
Yeah. But yeah, I mainly just keep the traffic moving, try to make your commute shorter.
Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about how long you've been a Christian, first of all.
Okay, so I became a Christian when I was like 10 years old at GA camp. I don't know if that's still a thing. I don't even know what GA stands
Barely.
for.
Girls in Action.
Girls in Action.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I went to GA camp.
Did they still have the Queen when you did that?
What is the Queen?
Years ago, they had a GA Queen in a court. And they would have the GA Queen. They'd dress her up in a crown and a sash and everything, and they'd have the GA Queen each year. My mother was the GA Queen one year.
I was not the GA Queen.
Yes.
If we had it.
Yeah, now it's kind of dying a little bit. But
I see. Do they still have GAs?
some churches do.
I feel like if you're
But
not
not very
Baptist, you don't know what
No.
GA is.
If you're not Baptist,
Yeah.
you have zero clue what GAs is.
Exactly. So when I tell people I asked Jesus into my heart at GA camp, I get a lot of weird looks.
I'll tell you a quick story. The way my mother got saved was GAs. There was a lady who came across the street from her church and invited her to come to GAs. And my mom didn't know what it was, but they said there was free punch and cookies. So my mom said she went over there and had the punch and cookies, and that's how she heard about Jesus and got saved. So
Yeah.
There you
Always
go.
down for free cookies.
how old were you?
I think I was like 10 when I went to GA camp, and I went for 2 or 3 summers before I became a Christian there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell us what you want to share this today.
Okay, so I'll start off by saying, like, while I asked Jesus into my heart at 10 years old, I don't recall a time where my faith was really tested. I feel like growing up in Alabama, you are surrounded by Christians. You're living your life day to day, and you're not really facing trials that we see around the world that other people are facing. We're kind of in our own bubble, I feel like. So I met my husband in 2011, and we got married in 2017. I'll let you do the math of how long we dated. It was a really long time.
That's a long time.
The saying "when you know" does not attribute to us.
So who was waiting? Was it him or you?
He was the one taking forever. I mean, he said he practically had to raise me first. So I feel like I was probably a little immature when we met.
How old were you when you met?
I was 24 and he was 29.
Okay.
So he was my first boyfriend out of college, and so yeah, I mean, if you ask him, he'll say I was very immature. He needed me to grow up a little bit.
I won't ask him.
Yeah. So when we got married, we really didn't want to talk about having children for the first year. We really wanted to take it off the table because I just feel like the first year of marriage, you have a lot of problems and issues and things you want to work out, and you don't really want to introduce children at that time, and I wasn't really sure if I was ready either, so we kind of just tabled it for the first year. So then after the first year of marriage, we decided that we did want to have a child, and I would say we celebrated our first year of marriage in March, and then in May I found out I was pregnant. So I had kind of prepared myself that this would be a process to have a baby, and I didn't expect it to happen so soon, but we were very thankful to God, and we ended up telling our family and just being really excited about that. So then in July, I woke up and realized I was probably losing the pregnancy, and I went to the ER. My dad was actually the doctor that night, which was a saving grace, and they couldn't tell me anything. They basically, because the pregnancy was so new, there wasn't a heartbeat, but it was okay there wasn't a heartbeat. So they basically just told me to make an appointment with my OBGYN, and I went in the next day, and my OBGYN said, there is a baby there. There's no heartbeat, but that doesn't mean there's not going to be a heartbeat. So she just asked me to come back in 7 days. So for the 7 days, me, my friends, my family, we just prayed so hard for there to be progress with this baby. And I remember being just sick, and everyone was like, oh, that's good. That means the baby's growing. I went back at the end of 7 days, and again, there was no heartbeat, and I was told this is not a viable pregnancy. And that was really hard because I had so much faith in God that this was going to be a baby. This was my baby. And to hear that this is not going to be your baby was really hard to accept. So after I chose to have the operation, and after that, I really questioned God about why me? Why did I have to go through this? And I didn't understand if I had done something wrong or what happened. I questioned everything I ate, my workouts. I really struggled with this, and I just had so many people reach out and say, these kind of things happen all the time. This is just a glitch. This won't happen again. And even my husband was really like, hey, let's get through this, and, this is not going to happen again. And so I found out in August that I was pregnant again, and I was a little bit more hesitant, but also excited, because I was like, okay, that was just a one-time thing, and this is going to be a baby for real. And we went into the ultrasound, and there was a heartbeat. So we were so excited. We just felt like this was going to be our baby. And I had my next appointment, and we go in, and we are again told there is no heartbeat, and this is not a viable pregnancy. So after that, I just want to say I really went into a dark place. I remember I reached out to you, and I was like, I don't even know if I believe in a God that can allow for babies to be made but then not live. It was really hard to accept that this was happening to me. I felt like bad things don't happen to me. Why is this happening? I didn't understand what God was trying to show me. I even just cried out to God and was like, do not make me pregnant again. I don't want to go through this again. I'm not strong enough to go through this again. Please don't make me pregnant. If my calling is to not be a mom, so be it, but I don't want to go through this again. So I definitely went through a dark place and just really questioned God, which I just want to say, I don't think that makes me a bad Christian. I just feel like sometimes it's okay to really question God and be like, what are you trying to show me? And even it's okay to say, my faith isn't this strong right now. So then in February, end of January, beginning of February, found out I was pregnant again. And I really struggled with this pregnancy. I was not excited. I wasn't hopeful. I want to back up and say that after the second loss, my doctor sent me to a specialist in Birmingham. And there I was actually diagnosed with a blood clot disorder and was told if I got pregnant again, I would have to do a shot every day for the entire pregnancy. And if you know me, I hate shots. I can't even watch a needle, not even going in someone, just seeing a needle. So that was really testing me to find that out. But I was blessed with a really great doctor in Birmingham who actually took the time to listen and find out what was wrong and come up with a plan. And I'm just so grateful that I was put in touch with her. So I got pregnant again, and at this specialist, they actually really baby you, no pun intended, but you get to have an ultrasound every week. So that they can check on the baby and make sure everything's going great. And I just remember driving to Birmingham and just crying until I could hear the heartbeat on the monitor, because I just was so afraid and so trying to prepare myself that I'm going to hear those words, like there's no heartbeat. And so every week just really tested my faith, and I really had to pray to God, like, let your will be done, but I really want this to be a baby. And so throughout the pregnancy, it was just really a struggle where I just didn't want to do the nursery. I really didn't know if I wanted to have a shower. My body was covered in bruises from the shots. The shots hurt, like not just the shot, like the medicine hurts. So it was just really a struggle, and I didn't even tell friends that I was pregnant for 16 weeks because I just got so tired of telling people I was pregnant and then having to say, actually, I'm not pregnant anymore. So even when I was like 8 months pregnant, where my doctor's like, this is a baby, like she's in there, I still doubted, and I still was like, is this really going to be a baby that I have? Am I really going to get to take her home? We even did the 3D ultrasound where you get to actually like see her, and I still didn't believe. I was like, I don't even want to name this baby because I don't know what the outcome is. And every day I just would like drive to work, and I would cry, and I would put on worship music, and I would just pray over this child and pray that this was really going to be a baby that was born. So finally, October 3rd, she was born, and she came out blue, and she cried, but it wasn't like the crying like you expect them to cry. And she was rushed to the NICU. And so again, I really questioned God about, why is this happening? And I really thought, okay, like I've gone 9 months and now this is how it ends. Like this is the end. And I really struggled with that. I ran a high fever, so I was not even allowed to see her until 24 hours after my fever was gone. So I didn't even get to see my baby or hold my baby when she was born. And I, again, just had to pray to God and be like, I have to give this to you, and I have to trust that you have a plan. But 8 days later, she got out of the NICU and got to go home. I'm so grateful to friends and family that prayed during that time for her, because I truly think that it was a God thing that she's here today. And I just have to say, like, it's so important to have people that will surround you and pray for you when you go through a hard time like that.
How's it changed the way you see God?
So even just being a parent, I feel like has changed my relationship with God, because, you watch this video in the hospital about SIDS and they scare you to death about it. And so every night I have to go to sleep. I have to just trust in the morning, like she's going to be alive. And that's been so hard, is that I want to sit there at the crib and just like watch her breathe, but like I can't do that. So I have to just pray every night and like give it to God and be like, whatever your will is, if your will is for this child to live till they're 99 years old, like I just have to trust you in their plan, your plan for their life.
That never ends either.
No, that's what I'm afraid of.
At least not for 20 years. I know
Yeah.
for not 20 years, you always think, God, but the older they get, it seems like you're more trusting God, they're yours.
Right.
And it's hard sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I forget to feed our dog sometimes, so I really was like, God, do I really need to take care of a child?
Yeah, be careful about that. Shelly left Callie in the car one day.
Oh my God.
It was really hot in the garage. And I mean, when she realized it, she panicked so bad.
That's one of my biggest fears, because I leave takeout in the car all the time, and then the next morning your car smells like Chinese food or something. So yeah, that's a really big fear.
Yeah, you do learn to trust in God a lot more.
Yeah, you really do. I just feel like through all this, I've learned it's okay to question God. You're going to go through these seasons of life where you really don't know what he's trying to show you. And through all this, I feel like I can look back and be like, God was there the whole time, even when I felt like he really wasn't there. He was, and I hope through my story that someone else feels comfort, I just feel like pregnancy loss isn't talked about that much.
It's not. And, I've talked with quite a number of ladies and husbands who don't know how to walk through it with their wives. And the pain is so real. It's something I can't understand. But there's so many of the women out there who don't want to talk about it. But the pain is just really deep. I think one of the greatest things that we encourage people with, though, is that there's a story of David, and you probably know this. I may have told you this when you went through it. When David lost his child, and he was crying and crying out to God that he's worried his child was going to die. The child was very sick. And eventually this infant child died. And after the child died, David quit mourning. He quit crying. He got up and went his normal way. And people said, why aren't you mourning now when the baby's dead? And he said a great thing in Samuel. He said, I know where the child is, and I know that I will see him again one day. And so these babies who never made it to birth, we know they're with God, and one day you're going to see those two babies one day.
Right.
Which is a really cool thing to think about.
Yeah.
You're going to have something waiting for you in heaven that a lot of us won't. And it's that special child you never got to meet. And it's hard. I know it's got to be hard, but it's such a blessing to know God has them in his hand, and he loves them. So that's going to be a great day for you when you see the kids one day.
It will be.
So, but I hope it does help someone. I know there's a lot of you watching this who've been through this, and it's like Ashley said. Sometimes it's the silent thing people go through, and it can be a difficult thing that you a lot of times want to just keep to yourself. But we do hope that you'll trust in God, turn to God, but also reach out to people who love Him, who love the Lord and love you, and we'll be able to walk through that with you. So, thanks for doing this.
You're welcome.
Is there anything else you want to say?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. So, all right, and hey, if you'd like to be a part of sharing what God has done in your life, to share your story, get a hold of me. It's a big thing that can touch someone else's life, and God is glorified, Jesus is lifted up, and it helps people draw them to Himself. So let me know if you'd be interested.